Hello, beautiful people. I am Annette C. I had to ask God, to give me unshakable, unmovable faith. Because for me, just reading and studying God's word, I just realized how much faith has played, how big of a role faith has played in a lot of people's healings and deliverance and blessings. In addition to God's power, but faith played a big role. And in one of the examples that I got was the woman with the issue of blood. If you're not familiar, you can check out Luke 8:43 through 48 when you get a chance. And it just briefly talks about this woman who had an issue of blood. She was bleeding for 12 years and she could not find a cure to make herself stop bleeding. And I'm pretty sure, for me reading that, I was pretty sure that she went to all the doctors, all the people, anyone and anything to seek help, to seek healing for her issue. And I just imagine like how she could have felt after the first year, after the second year, after the third year, like, you can't find anything to help, heal you or to make it stop. So anyway, she had issues and she heard that Jesus was in town. So she went out, of course, everybody was surrounding Jesus because they were hearing about all of these things that Jesus was doing. He was healing people. He was, providing food and miraculous, doing supernatural things, feeding thousands with only a few loaves of bread and a few pieces of fish. Like he was just doing so much during this time that word was spreading about Jesus. So she went out to seek him, to seek healing. And I just remember reading it. And, verse 44, it says she came up behind him and touched the edge of his cloak, and immediately her bleeding stopped. So as soon as she touched Jesus, and let's be clear, she didn't touch his skin. He didn't touch her. She touched his cloak, what he was wearing. She touched that, and immediately she was healed. So as I'm reading, after that, Jesus stopped and said, "Who touched me?" Now, I want to lay this out for you because I'm a visual person. So imagine Jesus out, so many people, he's surrounded by so many people because they all are hearing about all of the healing that he's doing, the deliverance, the blessings, all these things that he's doing in the town. And also all of these people are, brushing up against him and following him and screaming his name and, just trying to get his attention. And here it is, this woman comes up and gets close enough to touch the cloak, what he was wearing. Imagine how many other people was just brushing up against him and who was like surrounding him and stuff. But out of all of those people, he felt the woman touch his clothing, not even him, touch his clothing. He felt that. He felt it enough for him to say, "Who touched me? Who touched me?" Now imagine all of the people surrounding him, all of the people, all the mayhem that's going on. And Jesus turns around and says, who just touched me? And it was to the point to even one of his disciples, Peter, was like, "Master, like, there's so many people around you. Like, people are brushing up against you. Like, what are you talking about? Who touched you? Like, everyone out here is touching you. Like, what do you mean?" But Jesus was like, "No. Who touched me?" That was a deliberate touch. That was a different type of touch. That was a in faith touch. That was a desperate touch. That was a I need your healing touch. That was I know what I'm gonna get, and I don't need anything but just this touch. He said, "Who touched me?" And everybody just looked. No one wanted to say anything because they wasn't sure. Like, what is he talking about? Who touched him? Like, what's gonna happen? Like, And finally, the woman, she came before him and she said, "It was me. I needed healing. I've been bleeding for 12 years. Like, I needed this healing. Like, I couldn't get it from nowhere else. And I know that if I got a touch from you, if I got near you, if I touched, I would get this healing. And Jesus looked at her and said, daughter, your faith healed you. Go in peace. This story blesses me so much, and I want you guys, when you get a chance, to go into the Bible and read this story. Luke 8:43 through 48, the woman with the issue of blood, because it will bless you. And just like I told you, I have been asking God to work on my faith. If this woman who was dealing with this issue for 12 years, over a decade, she's been dealing with this health issue, couldn't find anybody to heal her, anybody to help her, anybody to stop it. But for her to say to herself, you know what, this is my last shot. You got to think about what was going through her mind at this time. And what comes to my mind whenever I think about and read this story is desperate times calls for desperate measures. You ever heard anyone say, you know what, if you want something different, sometimes you got to do things different. Sometimes you got to be drastic. Sometimes you got to take matters into your own hands. You can't care what you look like. You can't care what it looks like. You can't care what people say or what people say is impossible or possible. You just got to do what you feel is right. And I feel like in this instance, this woman was like, this is my shot. Here's this guy that I hear is going around healing people. And not just here, because people seeing him do it. So here's this guy who I feel like has supernatural powers. I know there's something about him. I know that he has healing inside of him. So let me go and check him out. Let me go and see what's going on with him. And I don't even need him to look at me. I don't even need him to lay hands on me. I just want to touch. I want to touch him. Because that's how supernatural I think that he is. I feel that he is that all I need to do is be in his aura, touch his clothing, touch whatever it is, and I am healed. And that is what she did. She fought through the crowd. Imagine all of these people surrounding him for her to get close enough to just touch his clothing. But the thing that kills me and the thing that amazes me is that God felt it. It said that when she touched him, God felt the power go out of him into her. He felt it. That's why he was able to distinguish her touch from everyone else's that was surrounding him. That was a different type of touch. And I said to myself, thank you, Jesus, for the revelation. Because just like I said, when you have faith in something, when you want something, when you have that unshakable faith, it's a different type of touch. It's a different type of it's a different type of relationship with God. It's a different type of touch to Jesus. It's a different type, one that he can distinguish. Jesus can distinguish is different. So much so that he can tell, okay, this is a different. So I felt that. I felt that faith. I felt that. And he was like, no, I need to know. Who was that? I need to know. I need to know who did that. Because she did that on her own. She healed herself. Her faith healed herself. I need to know who was this. And she came and told him, like, look, I was bleeding and now I'm healed. I got it healed instantly as soon as I touched your outfit. I got healed instantly. And he said, yeah, that was your faith. That was your faith. And I always think about that. During those 12 years, was God, he building her faith? Was he building her faith to where he was building it so that for that very moment when he sent his son Jesus to this world to heal people, to deliver people, was he building her faith for that very moment? Because who knows, that was her one shot over a decade of being sick, of dealing with this. That was her one shot to get close enough to only be able to touch his outfit. And she was healed. healed instantly. And I just think about that and I'm like, Jesus, all it takes is a touch. You don't even got to be looking at me. You don't even got to know. You could just feel it from my faith. I want that faith. I don't know about you, but I want that kind of faith. I want that faith that I know. I know. Like, Jesus, I don't need you to do anything because I know all I need for you is to just be there and just let me touch you. Let me touch your clothes. Let me touch where you sit. Let me read your word. And I know, because I know I will be healed. It almost reminds me of, it was a soldier who went to Jesus and was like, look, one of my servants is sick. And they're in the house, they're at my house, they're sick, and they can't move, and I need for you to heal them. And Jesus is like, all right, come on, we could go to your house, like, let's go. I'll lay hands, let's go. And the guy said, no, I don't need you coming to my house. I'm not worthy of you being there. And I mean, for me, I just thought about maybe his house was a little dirty. He didn't want Jesus, to see like how he was living. Maybe he wasn't living up, like he just felt embarrassed or whatever. But that's just me adding that in. But yeah, basically he was like, no, like I don't need you to come to my house. Like all I need for you to say the word. That's it. Just say he is healed, and I know he's gonna be healed. I know it. And Jesus looked at him and was like, taken back. And the soldier was like, I know how authority works. I know how authority works. When you say something, people follow. When you give an order, they're going to do it. They're not going to question the order. It's just going to happen. So that is what this soldier based his faith upon. He knew the authority of Jesus. He knew what he can do. He knew that when he spoke, things happened. Things just went. There was no doubt in his mind. So Jesus was like, all right, he's healed. And he was like, he's healed because of your faith. So that's two people whose faith was already there to where they knew. Jesus didn't need to touch the woman with the issue of blood. She touched his clothing and was like, I'm healed. And she was healed instantly. She touched his clothing and was healed instantly due to her faith. This soldier, his servant was healed within, I think they said within the hour he was healed. So probably by the time he went back to his house, the servant was healed due to his faith of him telling him, you don't have to come and lay hands on him. Your word is enough. You saying it that he's healed is enough for me, because I already know. I don't even got to be there. We don't got to be around him. You don't got to be around him. I don't got to see it. I just know that once you say it, Jesus, is going to happen. I want that type of faith. I don't care what the situation looks like. I don't care how long it's been. I just know that God has his hand on it. I know the power of God. I know the authority of Jesus. I just know. I want that knowing and that faith that will move mountains. So my question to you is, how is your faith? How is your faith?